think we are live. I'm just going to wait to confirm it. But I think we're live on Twitch as we speak. Hello everyone and welcome back to the GT Sport League here at Gavra Racing. And well, we're here for the third and final sprint race of the Group B Championship. And after the Group A race the other day, well, that was just absolutely insane. This one hopefully will be just as good. I need to answer a quick question in the chat before we can get going. There we go. Mediums and softs for the sprint race. One tyre, just to confirm, it is a no stop for sprint. For the sprint race being determined by the reversed championship grid. And I think we're ready to go. Let's start this race then. It will begin in 10 seconds time here at Francorchamps. I need to turn on the keyboard, otherwise we're not going to get any fancy replays. But here we go then, round 13. The championships have been wrapped up, both drivers and constructors. But it doesn't mean we're going to stop the racing here. Especially on such a beautiful track, Francorchamps. Let's have a look at the starting grid. It's Kyla Love on pole position, followed by Woody, ND, the scout down, Ted and Wolfie, your top six. Only six unfortunately drivers could only turn up today, but it should promote for some really close racing between these six drivers. You can hear the engines start to build to 5 red lights here in Spa for round 13. It's lights out and away we go for the 13th time this season. And it's the scout down off to a really good start. Wolfie getting in the mix as well. ND to the inside. They're 4 wide, 3 wide in towards turn 1. The scout down already up into the lead of the race. ND dropping down a few positions, now in 4th place as they make their way in towards Air Rouge and Radion. Ted and Woody going wheel to wheel. They're side by side up the hill. Who's going to yield? Neither of them are. And something that we didn't see yesterday, we're now seeing here today. Woody's been forced off the track and Ted runs wide on exit. Might get a 5/10 penalty for cutting the corner. Wolfie picks up a penalty. ND picks up a penalty. Woody's in the clear. Here goes Kyla Love now pulling alongside Dan in his Peugeot. Who's going to come out on top? Kyla Love down the inside and towards turn 5. Gets the job done. Woody gets ahead of Ted, who drops down in towards 6th place. Your championship winner already up into 3rd place as the 2 constructors champions, currently running in 3rd and 6th place. A 20-minute sprint race to determine the qualifying grid for the feature race, which is where all the points are available. You can see all the 6 cars now making their way through No Namer, 90-degree fast, medium speed left-hander in these Group 3 cars. Definitely really easy to overshoot as they trail their way in towards Pooh on the scout down, was looking for a move on Kyla Love. But run wide onto that AstroTurf and you are a sitting duck and a passenger into the barrier. Here goes ND trying to find space to get the move on Wolfie. Down goes defensive to the inside. It's all kicking off with Woody going for a move on ND, who goes wide, and that allows Ted to slip his way up into 5th place and make it an Irish 3, 4, 5, 6. And Kyla Love now leads with his fellow Brits behind him in 2nd place. A little bit of ghosting between Wolfie and Woody. I think Wolfie is serving part of his time penalty, and indeed has served all 5/10 of that penalty he picked up through Rouge and Radion. Riding on board with Woody's Toyota, you can see he is gaining on the Alfa Romeo, tucking in behind the scout down slipstream before going back into the standard single file route through Blanchimont. Kyla Love though has run significantly wide and further behind. I'm sure the action's not going to stop there. They're 2x2. Woody is a little bit late on the brakes. That's going to allow Wolfie to try and go round the outside. Can he make this one stick? Or can Woody keep 4th place? We'll have to wait and see. They're going to go wheel to wheel though down the start finish straight in the run towards turn 1. Which one will come out on top? Meanwhile, the step down going for a move down the inside of Kyla Love gets the job done. Wolfie going down the inside of Woody has Ted right behind for close company. We can ride on board with Woody, who is so close to the back of that Alfa Romeo, and you'd imagine a move possibly in towards Lake on turn 5 at the end of the Kemmel Straight. All 6 drivers still within effectively the same camera shot here. That's just how close this championship has been. Woody's gone off the track, and I'm not sure if there's been a wheel issue or just a lack of focus, but he has gone off into the barrier. No damage for the Irish driver. Wolfie's going to try and send one on the scout down in towards turn 5 and slots in right behind of Kyler Love back into second place. Woody goes down into 5th place after that earlier mistake. But it is Wolfie who is trailing Kyler Love, who made the move on the Scout down at turn 5 on lap 1, maintains from provisional pole position. By this qualifying is to determine who gets pole position for the feature race. Andy just dropping off a little bit, got onto the too much inside curb through No Name. That's lost him a lot of time. Wolfie though is putting Kyler Love under some pressure. Let's get the telemetry up on the screen to see what tyres everyone's on. I believe everyone is on the yellow striped medium tyres. Only 2 tyres available for this race, and it is the mediums and the soft. Whatever tyre you finish in the sprint race will be the tyre you start the feature race on. And whatever tyre you don't use in the feature race, sprint race, is the tyre you have to use in the feature race. If you start on mediums, which everyone's doing here, it means you have to pit for a set of softs during the feature race. The 2 mandatory tyres for the feature race. This is effectively qualifying, keeping by the same qualifying rules we'd usually run, except the grid is determined by a race. The fastest race time rather than the fastest lap time. But we turn our attention to this battle for the pole position, effectively. Kyler Love defends to the inside at the bus stop chicane. Wolfie thought about trying to go for the outside move, but decided to tuck back in behind the Mazda RX Vision GT3 and will stay in 2nd place. Sets the fastest lap of the race, but won't account to anything unless he can do it in the feature race. He's alongside going in towards turn 1. Can he make this one stick? You'd think he can, but Kyler Love and the Scout Dan, both behind, are all going to get better runs through the exit of turn 1 and up the hill and towards Radion and Air Rouge for the Kemmel Straight, where the majority of moves are made at this track. If we ride on board with Wolfie, look behind through his rear wing, you can see 3 cars behind him closing in quickly. One of them is Kyler Love, the other is Scout Dan. Ted looking feisty in the background as well. Kyler's going to pull over to the outside of turn 5. Can he make this one stick? There's contact behind. I think that was the Scout Dan hitting him. Ted goes through. I think Ted's getting 2 positions in one corner, but he's lost the rear on exit. They're 3 wide. It's all kicking off here, kicking off so much that Kyler's got air over the curb. But thankfully, that is just a visual glitch. Here goes Woody now down the inside of Ted. He's not going to think about going for the double on Kyler. But these 2 Irishmen now going wheel to wheel. And Woody gets ahead. It's already kicking off. Ted getting out of shape there. And it is Wolfie, though, who now leads by 2 seconds after the shenanigans down at the Lake Com chicane almost. And, well, we're going to have to get a replay of that fairly shortly to see exactly what happened. ND's now caught up to the back of Ted and Woody. He dropped off slightly, taking too much curb through No Name on the last lap. We've still got 13 minutes left of the action to go here in qualifying, and it is Wolfie who is on provisional pole by 2.3 seconds. The Scout Dan running a little bit wide, currently in 2nd place as they now approach Stavelot. I think it's a safe enough time to get a replay of what happened down at the chicane. So here goes the Scout Kyler Love going for a move on the Scout Dan. Kyler Love going for a move on Wolfie, and it's Ted late on the brakes, and I think it's Ted who hits Kyler Love into Dan. Woody tries to switch back. You can see Ted getting out of shape there. Let's not get that camera. Let's go for the front view. Riding the ball with ND, you can see that's how Woody got past Ted down the inside. And yeah, I think it might have been Ted who hit Kyler Love, but I'm not too sure on that. As meanwhile, back up to the action. Kyler Love and Woody now going wheel to wheel down the start-finish straight in towards turn 1. The Brits versus the Irishman. Which one will come out on top? Woody taking a wide line there, 3 wide through turn 1. This is only going to end in disaster as they approach Rouge and Radion. Ted on the inside, Kyler in the middle. They're 3 wide. Someone has to back out here into Rouge. It's going to be Ted who has to yield. Ted being the smart one in that one, but the other 2 didn't fancy lifting their foot off the throttle as once again wheel to wheel through Rouge and Radion. Kyler Love picks up a 5/10 penalty, adding on to his 3/10 penalty for exceeding track limits down at Rouge and Radion. He's now going to try and send one on Woody. There's contact. It's going to allow Ted to try and go around the outside. We'll try a switch back for turn 6, round the outside for turn 7, but will brake slightly earlier and get a good run on the brick down in towards turn 8, but he's not quite close enough to send one to the inside. this battling is just allowing Wolfie to extend his advantage and get him closer to starting on pole position for the 18-lap race that follows. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in and has welcomed us to the first 9 and 8.5 minutes of qualifying. Kyle has got onto the AstroTurf on the outside of Pouon, has gone really wide, almost into the barrier, and once you've hit the AstroTurf, you are just a sitting duck, and you've just granted yourself a free ticket into the Shadow Realm. ND now going to try and make the most of that mistake from Kyler Love, trying to go round the outside in towards turn 13. Can he make this one stick? A beautiful job from the young Irishman in the Nissan GTR. Has got himself up into 5th place. Kyler Love, after 9 minutes, has gone from starting on 1st place to the back of the grid in P6. The championship might have been wrapped up by this guy, Wolfie 907, in the Drivers' Championship, who is still leading the sprint qualifying, but drivers behind still have their individual battles yet to be decided. The Scout Dan, Woody, Ted, ND, all fairly close to one another in the championship, as Ted gets a little bit wide through the final corner onto the AstroTurf. That's not going to help his run in towards turn 1. That might see ND trying to send one to the inside, but he isn't close enough. He's going to wait for the end of the Kemmel Straight in towards Lake Holm, the best place to make an overtake at this track. Maybe the turn 1 bus stop chicane are your other 2 main overtaking opportunities. Up Rouge and Radion using some curbs, getting a little bit twitchy in the Nissan GTR, which definitely favours those who prefer oversteery cars. With a good run and the aid of Slipstream, is going to now pull alongside Ted. It's going to be the inside line, the right hand side of the track for turn 5. Can he make this one stick to the inside? Late on the brakes, Ted will try and fight this one back as hard as he can, but just has to give up the position in the end, and then ND is now up to 4th place. This is just to set the grid for the race that follows. Scout Dan is now under pressure from Woody in his Toyota Supra, or for its full name, the GR Supra Racing Concept, made in 2018. Looking further back, we've got the Nissan GTR and the Peugeot. The Peugeot RCZ that Ted has opted to use for the Group 3 class this season. 5 races in Group 3. That's 1 more than last season, making this calendar the longest calendar to the GT Sports history at Gavra Racing. Fun fact. 15 races compared to the usual 12 or 10 that we've ran in the past, mainly to see it through to the Christmas break as well and start it not too long after the last season. Going back up to the battle for 2nd place, effectively front row on the grid, as Wolfie has pulled out a 4.3 second advantage over the Scout Dan and Woody behind. Woody was so close to winning the championship last season until a few events at Suzuka said otherwise. Meanwhile, the Scout Dan got a little bit loosed on the rear, quite oversteery, getting onto the AstroTurf, and that has closed down the gap to about 5/10. He's gone deep in towards turn 1. That could be the move that Woody needs to get up into 2nd place. They're going to go wheel to wheel on the exit of turn 1, and more importantly, the run down towards Rouge and Radion. Woody, though, with the better drive on exit, is able to get ahead of the British driver. ND's pulling out a 2nd advantage to Ted behind. However, Dan now has the Slipstream, will tuck in behind the Irishman in the run down towards turn 5. Woody goes defensive to the inside. Woody later on the brakes in towards turn 1. Kyler Love is into the pits from the mediums, and whatever tyre he goes onto will be the tyre he starts the feature race on, mediums or soft. Hello Piero in the chat. Wolfie has now got a 5-second advantage out in front, as that mistake from Scout Dan at turn 1 was all what he needed to make the move up into 2nd place. ND running wide through Pouon, has to lift off. That could give Ted the advantage. He needs to go for the move, and the move he does round the outside gets the job done up into 4th place. So the move that got ND up into 5th place when he overtook Kyler is the move that demoted him back down to 5th place. So Ted makes his way through after that ND mistake. That's 2 drivers out of 6, so a third of the grid making mistakes down at Pouon. Running wide onto the AstroTurf, and that's all you need to say hello to the barrier on the outside of the track. As Woody has now pulled a second advantage to the Scout Dan, both drivers on the mediums, except Woody's are looking more worn than the Scout Dans, which could give Dan the advantage in the final 6 minutes left to go here in qualifying. Qualifying being determined by the result of the sprint race. The sprint race, which is 20 minutes long. Starting grid for that, determined by the reverse championship order. Meanwhile, ND gaining on the Scout, on his head, through the final corner. The Peugeot running wide onto the AstroTurf, and got a little bit out of shape on exits. Let's ride on board with the Nissan GTR as they make their way up towards Air Rouge and Radeon for the 7th time in this race. You can just see the commitment. Let's have a look if he takes it flat out. It's a little lift from ND to make it up to the top of the hill safely, but it looks like with the slipstream and the straight line speed that the Nissan has to offer, we know the Peugeot lacks straight line speed compared to the other cars. Ted defends the inside line. ND's actually going to bump draft his fellow Irishman, actually goes purple through the first sector, not going to go for a move with 5 minutes left to go. Might try and wait for the final lap potentially, so Ted can't get back past on the next lap. Not long left to go, and it is Wolfie who is leading this race, but that gap has come down to about 2 tenths. It's now 4.7 seconds as Woody starting to lead the charge on your championship champion. Ted though 9 tenths ahead of ND. Maybe ND is probably regretting not going for the move. We'll have to wait and see if it comes to bite him back. But yeah, the gaps have started to open up now on lap 7. We've got an 18 lap race, and Ted's actually setting a lap that's 1.1 seconds quicker than his fastest, so he's finally got some consistency going, finally got some clean air. But unfortunately for him, this qualifying session will be ending in 3.5 minutes time. The gap out in front now up to 5.2 seconds after coming out of the pits. Kyler Love is 1 minute and 20 seconds behind. So we'll start the race in 6th place. Dan's got a little bit deep in towards turn 1. That's going to open up the gap to Woody in front. You can see it's opened up by about 4 tenths of a second. And Dan actually has a 5/10 penalty, which will round up to a second if not served. So if Ted finds a 1.5 seconds in this final 3 minutes or 2 laps of Spa, then he could be starting in 3rd place. It's not over yet. We saw penalties determine the finishing result yesterday. Who says it won't do the same here tonight? Woody only 2 tenths slower than Wolfie on the last lap. So the gap between ND and Ted is now beginning to open up. 1.5, 1.3 seconds between those two guys, but I'm sure that battle not going to be done just yet because, well, we've still got 2 minutes left to go. Anything can happen, mistakes can be made, penalties can be awarded. 2 minutes left to go of the sprint race. And our closest battle is for 4th place. Ted beginning to close in on the Scout down. You can see him just ahead on your screen, riding on board with ND through the middle sector. He's now in the slipstream of Ted's Peugeot ahead. Going down the back straight in towards Blanchimont. This will be the penultimate lap of the race. Can ND promote himself up an extra position to start the feature race? We'll have to wait and see. Wolfie comes around the final corner to start the final lap here in qualifying, but we had turned our attention to the battle for 4th place on the grid between Ted and ND. Which Irishman is going to come out on top? My apologies. But here we go then, up Rouge and Radillon for the final time in qualifying. Ted leads ND. The battle for 4th place. 4/10 separates the two drivers. Ted flashing his lights as they make their way up. Rouge and Radillon. ND picks up a 5/10 penalty. That could be the crucial turning point to keep Ted in 4th, but going in towards turn 5, it is Ted who stays ahead. ND braking early has served that penalty. It's now going to be a last lap showdown to see whether or not Ted can keep this position. Just have to wait and see. Going through a downhill 180-degree right-hander, a really easy corner to brake too late and run wide through No Name for the final time in qualifying. ND making just a slight mistake that might have cost him, or be the time that enough time lost for him to lose this position. Both making it through Pooh nice and cleanly. Carter Love has finished in 6th place, being a 20-minute sprint race. The race finishes when the timer is up. The timer is up, this being the final lap of qualifying. Can Wolfie put it on pole position? He is currently leading by 4.5 seconds to Woody in 2nd place, but the grid for 4th place is still yet to be determined as they make their way through turn 14 for the final time in qualifying. We were able to do 9 laps here at Spa in qualifying. We've still got another 18 yet to go for the race. You can see on the mini-map, Wolfie rounds the final corner and will start on pole position. Here is your green Alfa Romeo who puts it on pole position. And it's going to be Woody joining him on the front row as he crosses his line in his return to the league. The Scout Dan finishes in 3rd place, and you can see in the background Ted and ND finishing in 4th and 5th place. And that is your starting grid done and dusted here in qualifying. It's Wolfie who puts it on pole position, followed by Woody on the front row. The Scout Dan will start in 3rd place, followed by Ted in 4th, ND in 5th, and Kyler Love will start in 6th place. I need to change the settings. So we changed the room mode to a practice/race. The number of laps goes down from 31 to 18. Grid order is grid based on previous results, and the tyre wear gets knocked back up to ×5. We have the race finish delay on 140 seconds because that is more than a lap of Spa, just to allow anyone who crosses the line late to be able to finish all their laps. And then we can I do have the minimum tyre set to super soft, so I should actually change that to soft. Apologies. But there we go. We now need to wait for everyone to re-enter the race, and we can get put the qualifying results on the screen now. Wolfie on pole, followed by Woody, Scout Dan, Ted, ND, and Kyler is your starting grid for today's race. Don't worry, Kyler won't be a lap down. He will rejoin on the starting lap. As everyone entered, we're just waiting for the Scout Dan to enter the race. We'll just at him in the chat, and then we can get the race underway. Boom, that is nice and speedy, just like my driving. There we go, we're going to put the initial message in the chat saying starting soon. Just to let everyone know that we will be starting the race. Let's do this then. Round number 13. 18 laps. And we're about to get this one underway. 5 seconds to go. So here we go then. Round number 13 here at Spa. Season 4 for Group... Season 4. It's the Group B's time to shine. Here is your starting grid from the sprint race. And from the back of the grid, your championship leader and driver's champion has put it on on pole position. No provisional pole, has put it on pole. Yesterday's race in Group A was a thriller. Let's see what these 6 drivers can do tonight as the engines build, the revs are roaring, and it's lights out, and away we go. Kyla Love hasn't moved off the line as Woody's got a good start up into 4th place, Ted up into 3rd, Ted up into 2nd place. A beautiful start from Ted, gets the job done, up into 2nd place on lap 1. Meanwhile, ND has dropped down to 5th place, Woody up into 4th. Woody down into 4th place after starting in 2nd place. It is Wolfie though who leads them up Her Rouge and Radion. But here goes the Scout Dan trying to go for a move on Ted. Woody trying to get involved in this as well. They could be going 3 wide in the run down towards turn 5. It's Woody on the inside, Wolfie in the middle. And it's Ted trying to go round the outside of all of them. Ted though only trying to get around the outside of Woody. Couldn't quite pull off the move. It is Wolfie though who leads halfway through lap 1, almost halfway through lap 1. And Ted bringing up 3rd place. Apologies, just having some issues on my end. Okay, I think everything has been resolved. Apologies about the delay. Just a few technical difficulties back here. Let's get everything back up on the screen. It's medium tyres for everyone's finishing the sprint race on the mediums. As Wolfie leads at the end of lap 1 as we make their way through Stavelot now. A really easy corner to go onto that AstroTurf and have a free pass to the Shadow Realm. The Scout Dan has lost touch of Ted. 1.1 seconds now separating the two. As Woody is trying to close in on Wolfie, but only 5 tenths between the two. 2 tenths though between him and Ted behind. Woody going slightly defensive in towards the bus stop chicane. Keeps 2nd place ahead of Ted for now. And it is your top 3 Irish drivers who as that didn't come out as I anticipated, but it's still the 3 drivers who end lap 1. 3 Irish drivers in the top 3 at the end of lap 1. That's sort of kind of what I was going with. Said something completely different. But Woody now trying to start the charge to Wolfie in front. Does have a rapid Ted MC closing in behind. Only 2 tenths between the two. Woody's had a better run through Rouge and Radion, but that gap's going to be starting to come back down as they make their way in towards turn 5. But I think Woody's just got enough of a gap, a good run through turn 4, through Rouge and Radion to keep him ahead of his fellow Irish compatriot. Only 8 tenths separating the top 2. 7 tenths between Woody and Ted. Let's have a look at the gap. 1.5 seconds separating the top 3. Meanwhile, the Scout Dan now under pressure from ND behind. That battle is for 4th place as things stand. Halfway through lap 2 of 18 here at Spa. Should take us about 40 minutes long, bringing both races up to a total of 60 minutes, the usual time that we'd be racing for in the other races. The sprint concept, a new format for every third, the third race in every car class. The first time we've done it this season. Group 2 was a success, Group 4 was a success, and it's the final sprint race of the season here in Group 3. Maybe an idea or something that we bring over to Season 5. We'll just have to wait and see how that calendar gets planned out. Let's go back up to the front. Look, guys, the gaps are starting to open out to about a second and a bit. Meanwhile, 2 tenths though separating Dan and ND in their battle for 4th place. Dan going slightly wide through turn 1. That's going to allow ND to get a run on him in towards Arouge and Radion. But is he going to go for a move? I think he's just lift off there. Real tough in behind the back of that Peugeot. Going through Rouge. Only 3 tenths separating them two, but with the Peugeot's lack of straight line speed, plus the added effect of the slipstream, ND's going to get a good run in towards turn 5, but he's not close enough to get the move done. Thank you to everyone who is currently watching, wherever you are from around the world. I hope you're enjoying the action here on track. We're currently looking at this battle for 4th place. You can see the top 5 runners making their way through No Name in towards Puan, where the marshals are watching on. The cameraman getting some good shots of these GT3 cars making their way through the middle sector here at one of the best tracks in the world, located in Belgium. As Woody is about a second ahead of Ted, just over a second and a half behind your Drivers' Championship winner, Wolfie 907. But the Scout Dan, 3 seconds behind Ted, has a 5-second advantage ahead of ND, but that gap is now going to start coming down with the help of the slipstream and the added straight line speed of the Nissan compared to the Peugeot. Here we go now through Blanchimont. Is ND going to try and send one? I think he's just a little bit too far back to get the move done. Starting lap 4, and as things stand, Wolfie has the fastest lap of the race, 3 tenths quicker than the fastest lap he set in the sprint race a few minutes ago. So 2 minutes 18.445. And if he can keep it by the end of the race, it will be an extra championship point added to his collection of many this season. Gaps between the top 3 have kind of evenly opened out. 1.7 seconds between each top 3 driver. Battle for 4th place continues to plough on between Dan and ND. And well, we're almost 25% of the way through the race. In fact, I think we're about 20% of the race done on lap 4 of 18 here at Spa, with laps about 2-minute 19s as probably the average lap on the mediums. 18 laps brings the total up to 40 minutes. Hopefully, well, we hope it's 40 minutes of action and closely hard fought racing, as the Scout Dan is able to keep ahead of ND, but for how much longer? The Irishman putting the Brits under significant amounts of pressure. 4.5 tenths between those two in their battle for 4th place. Meanwhile, Ted has caught up to the back of Woody. ND runs, Dan runs a little bit wide through turn 1. 6 tenths now separating Ted and Woody. Maybe a change in the next few laps, but a change that could happen on this lap is for 4th place. ND is closer to Dan than he's ever been in this race. He's now going to pull over to the left-hand side of the track, which will be the outside for turn 5. And gets the job done even before they start braking for the corner. Platform it's ND, now up into 4th position. Can he start the charge on Ted? The gap is 5 seconds. But with Ted starting to battle Woody, they could hold each other up and allow the cars behind to gain. Dan is keeping close behind that Nissan GTR. I say that, the gap has opened up now to 9 tenths. He made a mistake through Pouon, which cost him 5 tenths of a second, maybe even a little bit more. Might have hit the inside curb and lost the rear. We are 4 laps away from reaching the halfway mark. That's about 9 minutes worth of racing. Maybe a bit more. Maybe 9.5, 10 minutes of racing to do 4 laps in these GT3 cars. .2 seconds separating ND and Dan in their battle for 4th place. The Nissan versus the Peugeot. We'll have to wait and see which one comes out on top, both on the medium tyres. And ND doing phenomenally in that Nissan. It definitely favours drivers who like having an oversteer setup. And he's doing really well to control that back end. The Nissan not known for having a stable rear, but a really good front turning. Nice seeing a variety of different cars on the grid. The Alfa Romeo, the Toyota, the Nissan, the Peugeot and the Mazda. The cars being used here tonight. And apologies guys, I will be back shortly. This is where a co-commentator would be really useful to fill in the silence. I've just got to quickly do something. Apologies about the delay, but we're back in action here in Spa, and ND has closed down that gap to Ted. Now only 1.6 seconds between those two Irish drivers, the top four, making it an Irish 1, 2, 3, 4 in this one, with the scout down. Carla Love bringing out the two British drivers in 5th and 6th place on lap 7 of 18, and well, Wolfie still leads the way by 3.8 seconds. Woody got the same gap in front as he does behind, but it is Ted who has lost the most amount of time to ND. Not sure what happened there. Thank you to everyone who is watching. Apologies about the earlier delay. ND is caught right up now to the back of Ted MC, and will be looking to try and get himself on the podium here tonight. So they make their way through turn 1. ND 4/10 behind, going through Eau Rouge and Radion for the 8th time today. They've still got to do it 10 more times here at Spa. He's now in the slipstream going down the back straight, but is he going to be close enough to make a move? Ted doesn't defend the inside line, invites ND to pull up to the right hand side of the Peugeot, goes purple through the first sector. These two now going side by side through the Lake Holmes chicane, the right followed by the left. And then soon enough, there'll be another right. Here it is, turn number 7. Ted gets a little bit loose on the rear. ND with a massive snap of oversteer. Is able though to keep it going in a straight line and settles back in behind the Irish driver. ND's now only 3/10 behind Ted. He's no longer 3/10 behind Ted because he's now alongside and ahead of Ted. A little mistake from Ted going through Stavelot has allowed ND to get the job done, promotes himself up into 3rd place and onto the podium positions. Ted will try and fight this one back best he can. But it is ND now up into the podium positions. Ted's tyres might just be starting to go off. going through turn 1. Ted was able to serve his penalty. Upper Rouge and Radion once again. Andy getting a little bit twitchy in this, and Ted though with a good run. He's going to tuck into the slipstream behind as they make their way down the camera straight. A beautiful camera angle showing the two cars. Ted giving Andy a little bit of a nudge going down the straight, and we'll stay in 4th place for now. Maybe going to try and use Andy to gain the gap on Woody, but Andy's gone a little bit too deep, and then Ted is going to go around the outside and get the move done up into 3rd place. A little bit of a few mistakes from Andy, costing him the position and a little bit of time to the Irish driver in front. We are now down to 5 drivers in this race. Kyler Love has disconnected. So Ted now back up into 3rd place. He's got quite a big gap to close down. 5.5 seconds to Woody in front, who is about the same gap to Wolfie, who's leading this race. Has led every single lap so far of the feature race. Here goes Andy though with the straight line speed of the Nissan. A good exit through Stavrolop, going through Blanchimont. Is he close enough to maybe send one, and Ted going in towards the bus stop chicane? He might think about it, but he's not going to go for it just yet. Stays in 4th place for now as we go past the halfway point in the race. Lap 10 of 18, and well, we're quickly getting to the end of this race. We've already been going for 21 minutes. And you can see the Scout Down running in last, but 5th place, which is still good points for those who did not turn up for today's race. Here goes Andy though. Is he going to go for a move? He's tucked right up behind the back of Ted. He's not though. He's going to push him down the straights in towards turn 5. He's just going to stay behind his fellow Irish driver for now. When will drivers begin to come into the pit lane? I believe, well, the pit window doesn't just open, but I believe the pit window is open for the one stop. The one stop being the only stop you would, or the only strategy you would consider, unless you picked up damage. Lap 10. So when we saw drivers come off of the mediums onto the softs from yesterday's race. So maybe it might be the same turnout we see today. Obviously this track being quite a long track, the undercut is super powerful. Undercuts being powerful though, quite a lot of places. This one though, it's definitely one where it's at its most powerfulest. Being a long lap, you can gain more time on the fresher set of tyres, although the pit lane, it's about 20 seconds before your car gets served. I'll need to do some research of this, but it might be the longer the track, the longer the time it takes for your car to reach the garage and the pit stop home. I don't know if there's any logic behind how long it takes, but if there is, then I'll definitely look into it. Wolfie though is the first to come into the pits. I'd imagine everyone's going to come into the pits this lap. Woody does come into the pits. Ted stays out. ND pits. So does the Scout Down. So Ted is going to lead half a lap because he will come into the pits and not really complete this whole lap. So Ted will be leading some of the race, but I don't think he watched yesterday's race and saw the undercut. Well, the massive undercut that Finn had. Finn gained 2 positions, like 7 seconds on his lap. Maybe a little bit less, but we'll have to wait and see if Ted can make this work. the only one to stay out. I don't know. I mean, it's logically, I'm not sure why he stayed out, because everyone has come into the pits. But if he can make it work, then well, respects to him. He is 4 tenths down though through the first sector alone. That delta is only going to get rise as the lap goes on. Everyone else behind is going to be going quicker on a fresh set of the soft compound tyres. He has saved enough fuel in order to go the extra lap, which means he can or will be able to put in a lap less fuel. Through Stavelot now, Ted. The gap is 30 seconds behind to Wolfie. What's the gap between him and ND? It's 40 seconds. Not sure how long it takes for a pit stop here, but we'll have to wait and see. Down the back straight, Ted will be coming into the pits at the end of this lap. Through the bus stop chicane, and does come into the pits with a 1 litre of fuel left. Where is he going to filter out onto the track? It's going to be close, but I think ND might just have the upper hand during the undercut here. A track where the undercut is powerful. Let's find ND going through the bus stop chicane now. Ted hasn't even been served into the pits yet, or is being served. You can see the tyres are just being put on the car now. ND is past the pit lane, but obviously the pit exit comes out on the exit of turn 1. So, but it looks like he's got it. He has got it. ND with a successful undercut attempt gets his way up into 3rd place, and not sure what Ted was thinking staying out. Well, he's lost 4 seconds to ND, and the strategy misjudged, and is now down to 4th place, 4 seconds behind ND. Makes it an Irish podium, an Irish 1, 2, 3, 4. Scout Dan being the only driver tonight who's not who's British and not Irish, it seems. But we're on lap 12, halfway through lap 12. Still got 6-7 left to go. Not long now until the end of this race. Round number 13. Indeed, going purple through the middle sector. We jump up to your championship leader and a constructors champion, Wolfie 907 with a 6.2 second lead after 12 laps. Comes through the bus stop to start lap 13 out of 18, and brings the race ever so closer to the end. Let's actually get an onboard lap while we have no battles on track. On board with the Alfa Romeo 4C, revving it out in 5th gear before upshifting into 6th, 158, just getting into 160 miles per hour down the straight. Goes purple through the first sector, has actually set the fastest lap on the previous lap. Going over the curbs might have cost him about a 10th, as taking the inside and outside curb through turn 7. A downhill braking zone, 180 degree corner for turn 8. You've got to be patient on the throttle, otherwise you will be going wide off to the AstroTurf and it will be tricky to recover. Now through No Name, uses all the curb available on the right hand side and the outside of the corner before preparing the turn in for Pouon. Not to take in the AstroTurf on the outside. Does take the AstroTurf on the outside and drifts onto the grass. And wow, that was lucky from Wolfie, well controlled not to end up in the barrier. Let's have another look at that from the spectator cam. You can see he turns in, he clips the curb on the inside, gets it onto the AstroTurf on the outside, and drifts his way through Pouon, but keeps his Alfa Romeo in a straight line and not in the barriers. That gap though has come down to 3 seconds, 2.7 now on the end of lap 15, and mistakes like that might be just enough to get Woody his a win on his return to the league. That gap has now come down to 2.1, and you sense this race isn't just over, and there is a little twist left in the tail here in Spa. This race always likes to provide some action, but who knew it would be from a mistake from Wolfie. It's a rare sight and has only happened maybe once or twice this season, but it's one that could cost them the race lead. We'll have to wait and see. Indeed, with the new fastest lap with a 2 minute 17.6. Seeing as Wolfie likes to make a mistake, let's get an on board of Woody's lap. As you can see ahead, Wolfie has picked up a 5/10 penalty through Rouge and Radion, but going through turn 5, the end of the Kemmel Straight, braking as the curb starts on the left hand side, throwing the back end in to get the front turned in. Through turn 6 and 7, running a little bit wide onto the AstroTurf, almost looked like a gust of understeer, before braking for the downhill right-hander when the curb starts on the left-hand side. Going wide before cutting in tight for the exit, going through No Name now. It almost looks like Woody's wrestling the Toyota 4 grip as they make their way through Pouon, where Wolfie made his mistake on the last lap, bringing the gap down to 2 seconds, but that gap has now gone back up to 2.7 on lap 14. In towards the middle sector, running a little bit wide, costing him a little bit of time, but overall it has been a clean lap from Woody, going through the final few corners, or the final few proper corners on the lap, going through Stavelot, which brings up the start of the 3rd sector, the end of the 2nd. It's now a straight as they go approaching Blanchimont, which leads into the bus stop chicane, a corner where a lot of time can be gained and lost. However, ND though has caught up to the back of Woody. Woody making a mistake. I will be honest, I was not looking. I was trying to find a pair of scissors. Don't ask why. But ND has caught up to the back. Oh, Woody's going down the inside into the end of the bus stop chicane. It's going to be a drag race up to the line to start lap 15. ND has got up into 2nd place. And that is Woody, who's actually disconnected. Woody's disconnected on lap 15. The name has disappeared from the leaderboard as we're now spectating Wolfie because, well, Woody's gone. Woody has disconnected in the latter stages of this race. And there he goes. Woody's internet has given way just as the checkered flag was about to be waved. There's about 6 minutes left to go in the race, and you can see on the bottom left, well, there's 6 minutes until we reach the 40-minute mark. It's almost as if I tested this race to be about 40 minutes long. Who knew? Who knew I was a genius? But that now promotes Ted back up on to the podium. And the Scout down in 4th place. The grid has now been reduced to 4 drivers here at Spa. The only 4 who have now survived, or who have survived 15 laps. It's fair to say this race isn't over with the mistakes that we've previously seen. All the drivers about evenly spaced out, about 6 seconds between each other. Hopefully we get some more drivers in for the next race at Mount Panorama, the penultimate race of the season before we're heading off to Dragon Trail Gardens, the backwards configuration. Appreciative of those viewers who have stayed through the entirety of the race. Welcome to any new drivers or any new viewers. If you want to get involved, feel free to message me on PlayStation, Discord, wherever. XNattyG or NDM Gaming is the name you have to search on either Discord or any form of social media platform. But if you want to easily find me, head over to the Gavra Racing website and join our Discord page, and then our Discord server even, and there you'll find my contact details to hit me up with a message, see if you're interested in joining the league, and then we can get you on the grid. Wolfie's about to bring to an end lap 16 to start lap 17, the penultimate lap of this race. It's ND who currently has the fastest time. Maybe Dan will come into the pits for a fresh set of soft tyres to try and beat that time. He's not going to beat that time though if he's in the Shadow Realm on the exit of Stavelot, rejoining the track now, but that was very wide through the exit of turn 14. May we see him come into the pits? Fresh set of softs and an attempt at fastest lap. We'll have to wait and see. No. So it is going to be ND who keeps the fastest lap, and unless anything drastic happens with the drivers on one set of soft tyres, pretty much everyone on evenly worn tyres. Let's actually get an onboard of Wolfie, assuming he doesn't crash this time. Meanwhile, so here we go then, down the start of the back straight even. The Kemmel straight in towards turn 5. Takes the inside curves nicely for turn 5 and 6, hooking up in towards turn 7. All 3 of those corners link into one another. Downhill braking zone of turn 8. Keeps it nice and tight to the inside, off the throttle before slowly applying the throttle application before going in towards No Name. Back up on the throttle though before going in towards the Puon corner, where he crashed last time. Does he negotiate it better? Yes, he does. You don't want to get onto the AstroTurf, otherwise you'll end up in the shadow realm, as a few drivers have experienced already. Keeps it nice and tight to the inside curb. No mistakes from your championship leader, and uses a little bit of the curb on the outside of the corner as well. Hooks it up nice and tight to finish sector 2. His sector split is 1.5 seconds off his fastest lap, set on lap 14, which was a 2 minute 17.7, a tenth slower than the fastest lap of the race so far, which has been done by ND, 2 minutes 17.6. Little lift through Blanchimont, about 80%, 70% throttle application for braking at the 150 metre board in towards the bus stop chicane. Slows it down in time before going through the final corner. Up to the line then for the Irish driver. It's 2 minute 19.6 to start the final lap here at Spa. ND could be seeing himself on the podium once again. Ted in third place, crucially also on the podium, but the both drivers and constructors championships have been wrapped up, but Ted would like to consolidate, finishing in second in the championship if he can. Does have the Scout Dan a few points behind, maybe 20 points I think it is. I'm not too sure what the gaps are like, but it has been a really dominated season by this man. He's led, I think, every single race, or at some phase of every single race. He's won the majority of the races this season, and is on course to take home another victory. Going through No Name for the final time, approaching Puon for the final time, where he made his mistake earlier, was able though to keep it in a straight line after losing the rear, dipping a wheel onto the AstroTurf. But has led every single lap of this race. Makes his way through Stavelot for the final time. He's already won the championship, but he's proving why he won the championship. Like I just said, he's led lots of laps, he's won lots of races, he's claimed pole position. He got pole position here today after starting from the back of the grid for the sprint race, going through the bus stop chicane for the final time, and this man cannot be stopped. Rounding the final corner for the final time, and he wins here at Spa. It's the Irish driver in the Alfa Romeo on top once again. ND will take home second place and another podium for him. Ted finishing in third place after struggling to keep up with ND. Maybe a bad strategy call staying out the extra lap cost him quite a lot of time, 4-5 seconds to be roughly exact. Scout down though, just shy of a podium, finishing in last, but fourth place. Crucial points for her, where he is aiming for in the championship, and he's going to finish with this race with half a donut and in reverse. But your grid has been finished. Your race has been finished, and the finishing grid decided. And it's this man once again, the same name and the same car, on the top step of the podium, and takes home another race victory. So we're going to quickly save that race replay and go head over to the race results. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this race here at Spa. Join us next week for round 14, the penultimate round here of the GT Sport League Season 4, where we will be at Mount Panorama in Australia. It's good night from me. and I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Goodbye.